Brought to you by the Just Say No to Christie campaign. Take it too, and don't throw Christie a vote. Now, this isn't the first time I've bumped heads with Christopher Christie. The first time he was a U.S. attorney, and I went to his office complaining that there was a state official named Thomas Bartlett who was threatening to put me in jail if I continued to exercise my free speech by talking about legalizing marijuana. Christopher Christie's office took my complaint and did nothing. It ultimately went to U.S. District Court in Camden, and Judge Irenas heard the case. The ACLU actually filed a amicus brief and actually came in and helped argue my free speech rights. And ultimately, I won. After I was released from the Burlington County Jail, this was on January 24th, 2003. You know, imagine that. I was put in jail basically for making commercials. But after I was released, I went back to U.S. Attorney Office, Christopher Christie, and tried to, again, file a criminal complaint against Mr. Bartlett. Because I was alleging that under federal criminal statutes, that he acted under color of law, denied me my First Amendment rights, and imprisoned me for it. I wanted the U.S. Attorney, Christopher Christie, to sign a complaint. I wanted to sign a complaint. I wanted him to sign off on it. And his office refused, which prompted me to every Monday stand in front of his office and call him a fat hypocrite. And I was calling him a fat hypocrite not just because of his girth, but because of the fact that he was supposed to be the U.S. Attorney upholding all the federal rules and the Constitution in New Jersey as the highest-ranking federal official in New Jersey. Instead, he ignored my right to freedom of speech because he didn't agree with the legalization of marijuana issue, which that's not what he's empowered to do, what he was empowered to do. As the U.S. Attorney, he was supposed to enforce my federal right to freedom of speech. Instead, he allowed the state official to jail me for 5 months with no repercussions. He denied my complaint. So I stood in front of his office the summer of 2003, 3 weekends in a row. And each week, each Monday, every Monday I stood out in front of his office and I was jailed 3 Mondays in a row. And the last week in August and 2 weeks in September of 2003, I was jailed in Newark at Federal District Court for holding a sign calling U.S. Attorney Christopher Christie a fat hypocrite. Ultimately, the case went before another federal judge, and that federal judge admonished the prosecutor's office for even filing such a claim and dismissed the claim. Then, of course, I couldn't get anyone to file a lawsuit against the federal government, especially against Christopher Christie. He was a very powerful U.S. attorney. Ultimately, he became the governor. He's the governor now in New Jersey. And guess what? He's going to be running for president in 2016. And I want people around the nation to know what this man's about. He does not believe in free speech. He does not believe in the medical use of marijuana. He's stuck in a reefer madness age. And, you know, at this point in history, over 70 or 80%, between 70 and 80% of Americans believe that marijuana should be legal. Over half of the population now lives in states that have regulated or recognized the medical use of marijuana. And he has hopes and aspirations to be the president of the United States. Now, I feel like we've been bamboozled once already because I personally think that in 2008, a lot of potheads voted for Obama, thinking that as a former pothead that he would do something about the marijuana laws, and specifically the medical marijuana laws. And he did. So we kind of feel bamboozled. But no, you fooled me once, you're not going to fool me a second time, to quote George Bush. No. I think our next president has to come in line with the public on the medical use of marijuana. I don't think we're going to get there with Governor Christopher Christie as a presidential candidate. So once again, I say, just say no to Governor Christopher Christie's presidential aspirations.